You're listening to Force Majeure, an actual play Star Wars podcast. My name is Adam and I'm your host, and today's episode will be brought to you after these words from our sponsors.
From the great dark void, past the twinkling stars, to the shining streets, they come. They come! For the first time in 2 galactic standard decades, legendary Starcore band Kyber Drive are back on tour with their latest album, Stolen Empire. Still carrying prices on their head since their last album, Burning Republic, was outlawed, tickets and venue lists are only available on the Darknet. Featuring new songs such as Orbital Diplomacy, Death Star Falling, and Rebel Imperative, the Stolen Empire tour may well be their last. So raise your fists, raise your voices, and fire up the Kyber Drive. They come!
Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 2 of Through a Crystal Darkly. My name is Adam and I am the GM for this little soupçon of diversion, and I am joined around the virtual table by...
Hi, I'm Lou. I'm playing Kiki, the big friendly Gagarin.
I'm Ben. I'm playing Whomhurst, the not entirely sober Durosk doctor.
And I am Leslie, and I am playing the cunning yet tentative Balasor survivalist thing.
Our camera opens once again on the crystalline planet out there somewhere in wild space. We focus in past the gouges of destruction where our hero's escape pod crashed and rent its way through the brachiation, past a clearing where they met a very curious piece of sentient flora who claimed to be a former Jedi Knight and promised to take them to the crashed ship which brought them here an indeterminate period of time ago. Our camera plunges through the dense canopy, light reflecting and refracting from the prismatic leaves above, as everything here is indeed made of crystal and glass. We follow a pathway through this forest, past gigantic spiders made of crystal, past small squirrel analogues which chitter, past insects in thousands and thousands of beautiful rainbow combinations, until we come to an overgrown part of the forest, where another furrow has been carved at some point in the past before being overtaken once again by nature. We can see in this furrow, is that a bulwark here? Is that a metal frame over there? And our eyes slowly resolve the shape of a very old Barlos class freighter, partially buried beneath new growth. On the edges of this furrow, we once again see the pitcher plant which claims to be the Jedi Knight Hoculum Preb.
Well, to have eaten him at least.
Yes, to have eaten him, indeed. And our other 3 heroes as they look down across the crashed ship. There doesn't appear to be any major structural damage, or at least that your cursory investigations can see. The burned pathway that it carved is old here. There are no lights on in the ship. There is an airlock open further down the side, though the airlock is crisscrossed again with the crystalline strands that you saw the webbing made of from those spiders. And Hoculum gestures one leafy appendage towards the ship and goes, "There we are, the Ochre Wanderer. Fallen across some hard times. Haven't been back really since I ate myself. Our ship's droid took against me, quite understandably, or when I first tried to come back here. There was a lot of misunderstanding at the time, because after all, they'd just seen through one of its remote camera hollow madoofas, seen me eat myself, and apparently it took quite a while. It wasn't very pretty. So I thought best not to come back and risk stirring up old, and I don't really want to make anybody uncomfortable here. And besides, I have myself for company, so that's helped. But, there you go. And it gestures with one leafy arm at the ship. Players.
Have we seen any sign of hollow Badoofas?
No. No drones, no droids, no remotes.
Let's try the nice, open approach. Walking up, Whomhurst is going to shrug, grab the trench coat that he's got right around the lapel, give it a tug, setting it right, brushing down, making sure that's flowing correctly, adjusts his hat just so, and walks up, sees the crystal tendrils going across the door, and tries to rap loudly on the door jamb, like trying to make sure that there's a good knock going on. Hello? Is there anyone in there?
There is a little camera port by the door, and it slowly starts to try to flicker into life, but then fades down again. This close, and you're all seasoned, legitimate freights people, It looks like this ship has been running on the last dregs of emergency power for some time. Probably needs some patchwork done inside it. Doesn't look like you're going to be able to just knock and have this door open. Might require a bit more practical solutions.
Is the droid still around?
I think maybe, but there seems to be a power problem. Kiki, could you try opening the door? I don't think there's a spider that's going to try and eat us. I was kind of worried about that, but...
Okay.
Whomhurst will step back and reach into the breast pocket of his trench coat and pull out a small snifter.
Is there anywhere where I can get a grip on the door, or anywhere where I can punch the door that might, activate Star Wars door logic?
There is, behind one of the panels that's quite clearly marked in Orabash, a manual override, which is effectively once you kind of prise the panel open, it's a big old kind of manual wheel that you can turn to cause the doors to slowly open.
Like a submarine lock?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Kiki will grab hold of the wheel with a pair of huge paws and just start dragging it round.
Yeah, it takes a bit. This is rusted in place, and it's a heavy old door and a heavy old lock. I don't think I need to make you roll for it, really, because you're a massive prismatic yeti. But it does take and it's a real proper, high-pitched screeching as the door slowly starts to open. And the crystalline webbing kind of tears and snaps open. It doesn't appear to have summoned any more spiders, and looking closer, it's very old webbing here. You can see it's clearly degraded. And the doors creak open, and air comes out. It is old air. It has that it's not like a wave of carbon dioxide that hits you and sends you choking. And I suppose you're in a rebreather and vocoder anyway, so it probably doesn't bother Kiki too much. But it has the scent of age and dust and old metal as it comes out. There are emergency lights inside, but they are barely perceptible. They're that dim. It is clearly on the very end of emergency power in here. Just enough to see by if you squint.
This seems like it could be a setback. Just throwing that out there. Shall we try knocking again?
But the door is open.
Yeah, but you don't want to just walk in. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to just walk in. You might want to just walk in. But... Hello?
There is a pause, and then a crackle comes over the ship intercoms. And then...
Hello. It's been a while since I've had guests. If you could see your way to restarting the generators, it would be lovely to have a discourse. Thank you.
And then the comms crackle off.
Do we see any generators?
There's usually one in, the engine room, so how about we try there? Maybe we could, I don't know, kick something.
I can kick something.
So, Barlow's are pretty streamlined in how they go, front to back. So,
yeah. Going
in, it would be pretty easy to, turn in the correct direction and find the engine, or the engine room. Does anyone have a glow rod, since the lighting is horrible?
I would like to rifle through my pack and see if I have a glow rod.
Almost certainly.
Okay.
It seems the kind of thing that you'd have.
If I didn't, I was going to argue that I had a light-up lure for fishing. Just probably just a glow rod, but with, like, feathers and a little wiggly bit.
Yeah. But yeah, it casts a bit of light. That is the primary source of light that you have, really, that you're carrying in here. It is very, very dark. It is very, very dim. It's not oppressive. I mean, this is no Cost of the Bar in here. It's just a very old ship. There is thick dust on the floor. You can hear the air regulators kind of desperately trying to start again, then fading into silence. The running lights and emergency lights are very, 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 very dim. And it's clear that there has been some damage caused by the impact. You know, as you're making your way down towards the engine room, you can see where fixtures and fittings have been knocked off the walls and crates have kind of spilled over and, you know, that sort of thing. You can see where there was an escape pod, which is now empty. Doesn't appear to be any sign of any crew here, from what you can see so far. You've not come across any desiccated corpses. There also doesn't appear to be any sign of the sort of maintenance droids that you'd expect in here, you know, mouse droids and that sort of stuff. Nothing like that. It doesn't appear that anyone's been in here for some time. But you know, like as you say, the layout of these vessels haven't changed in centuries, which is probably for the best, because some of the markings on the wall, you know, the class of the freighter and the registry things, they are archaic. The language that's used in some of the signage is, again, archaic. You know, when it's pointing in the direction of engine rooms and that sort of stuff. Terminology has updated since this vessel landed. And you get to where the engine room would be. And you can see that, again, probably from the impact, some very large crates have spilled out of the cargo hold and are blocking the door to the engine room. They appear to have dented it in some of the impact.
Should I move those crates?
Yeah, that would be a good idea, yeah.
I think that's where we need to go. Do you want some help?
I think I'd like an athletics test.
Do you want some help? And holds up a stim.
I like help.
But do you like some help?
Possibly the subtleties of what you're saying have entirely gone over her massive furry head.
Venla's gonna park herself at a smaller corner where she can brace herself and kind of use her entire person to move bits out of the way, and at the same time be on the opposite side of Kiki from the good doctor.
What's difficulty, Adam?
I'm going to flip a dark side point, and the difficulty is going to be 1 red, 2 purple.
Well. So, that's 1 success, 3 advantage, and a despair.
Oh no, Kiki's buried under crates.
Well, maybe it's good that we have a doctor.
I've moved the crates.
Well, they're definitely moved.
They're out the way.
But what we didn't realize is that they're full of spiders.
Spiders.
If only. As you move the last crate out of the way, something in that crate shifts, and bursting out from that crate and charging at you at full pelt is a gonk droid. On the back of this gonk droid, riding it, are 3 mouse droids, each one of which has a tiny little electro jabber, which is angled out. And I think it crashes into you. Can you please make me a resilience test, difficulty 2?
I just want to pet it.
I know, right? I just want to be its friend.
Yeah. Hello, little friend. Oh no.
One of the mouse droids has also popped up a little speaker at the back, and it appears to be playing some triumphant charge music.
Well.
Okay.
In something that's, entirely the opposite of what's, so that's 1 success, 3 advantage, and 2 triumphs.
Maybe they are your friend now.
Overall, we have a triumph and effectively 6 advantage to play with, as this gunk droid being ridden by mouse droids charges out, clearly determined to defend their ship from raiders. Little electro things sparking.
So what I'd like to do
Yeah.
is they ram into me, but Kiki is 7 foot, thick hair and muscle, and so they do connect, but it does a grand total of nothing. It's like hitting a wall, and she just looks down very confused and just picks the gonk droid up in one hand, just like, "Hello, little friend."
The gonk droid starts kicking its legs furiously. Gonk, gonk, gonk. The mouse droids are they're still staying on its back because they appear to be magnetised in place, but they're kind of turning sideways as if to look at each other, as if to say, what do we do now? And where you're holding it, their little electro sparkers can't actually get to any part of you as you're holding this gunk up.
Kiki holds it out as if she's just picked up a Christmas present. "Venla, I found the droid."
Gonk, gonk.
You certainly found a droid. I feel like these are not normally, like, how did he describe it? He described it like a helper droid, like I would expect it a more ambulatory protocol physical style, right? Okay. Well, I think we found a droid, well, 4 droids. Not the one our friend was talking about, but hello.
Gonk.
She waves. It's probably best if you don't struggle.
I mean, Kiki's pretty friendly, but we're just gonna get a little bit past you here and see if we can get the whole ship up and going instead of just having to rely on our friend here who is dangling from Kiki's hands.
When you say that your intention is try to get the ship up and running, the 3 mouse droids suddenly turn to face each other and are clearly having kind of in as much of a whispered conversation as 3 mouse droids on the back of a gunk droid can have. And then they retract their little stingers and again turn to face you, and the gunk droid stops kicking its legs quite so much. Lou, you still have a triumph and a whole mountain of advantage.
"Can you help us repair the ship?"
Gonk, says the gunk droid, and then kicks its legs again slightly as if to say, "Put me down."
"Yeah, put the gonk droid down. Show us where to go."
Gonk, gonk. And it turns around and makes its way into the engine room. These 3 little mouse droids, which have stopped playing the triumphant music and are looking slightly abashed as this gunk droid makes its way to the engine room.
"It's okay, no hard feelings."
The engine room doesn't appear too badly damaged. It looks like what's happened is, when it's crashed, it shut itself off, just as an impact of the crash. And then the emergency power has been running for so long that it's just slowly ran out all its capacitors. Maybe a couple of spark plug type things have been dislodged, but can be put back in, and then it just needs a jump start to get the engine firing back up again, and that will then start the whole power system for the ship going again.
So what do we do now?
Alright, like, I'm normally up at the other end of the ship. This end is weird, loud, and scary, but I remember this one Trandoshan talking about a hypermatter reactor igniter, and they look kind of like those things. So if we take them out and clean them, they might actually just start working.
I can clean.
Okay, let's try this.
She takes off her jacket and pulls the last button-down style shirt off, and then she actually just holds up and rips it in half. I make them this way so that you can use them for stuff. And then hands a rag over to the doctor for cleaning, and then puts her jacket back on.
I think I'd like a group mechanics test. It's 2 purple as a difficulty. You're getting a free upgrade from the assistance of the droids and Kiki's triumph.
Oh, I was thinking we were getting a free upgrade because I ripped my shirt in half, but okay.
You can have a boost.
I bring nothing to the table, but 2 green.
I bring 3 green. As I say, I either do squishy or the other end of the ship, so...
Yeah, you don't want me to help because I take penalties to mechanics checks.
I was about to say, if I remember correctly, Gigaron do not do technology well.
They do not.
Should we go ahead and flip that point to just to give ourselves even more of a chance?
That seems reasonable. And we've got 5 of them.
All right.
Just so that I'm clear on the difficulty, it's just 2 purple?
Just 2 purple.
Okay.
Not that complicated to repair. Just want to see what happens.
I defy you to say that it's not too complicated.
It is exactly a success.
almost too complicated to repair.
I mean, there is a lot of cancellation here. So we get out all these hypermatter igniter reactors, or reactor igniters, and re-gap them, make sure that we treat them just like spark plugs that have been gummed up. Get them plugged back in, twist them, get them set just right. Try a trick with some extra coaxium from the reactor going into the engine or the just generator. And then it's not until the very end of us having to click in the gonk droid to provide the boost that things get actually up and going. And it's just this. And as we do that, we just hear this gonk.
And yeah, the engine kicks in, or at least the power plant of the ship kicks in, and lights start to flicker on. The life support systems start chugging slowly and grinding, and the comm goes again.
Oh yes, that's much better. Hello, organics. Welcome aboard me. It's been a long time, and I'm not entirely used to being a ship, but I'm sure between us, yes. Are you my new crew?
Venla's looking concerned at every other being in this particular vicinity, including the gonks, or the gonk and the mouse droids.
The gonk and the mouse droids, having heard that question come over the intercom, are clearly all looking at you like small puppies. You know, they're angled back like imploring eyes.
Yes?
I mean, Whomhurst is going to be just sort of shrugging and nodding. Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Good.
Well, we need to go places, and if you need a crew...
Oh, yes, I need a new crew. Unfortunately, I lost the last ones very careless of me. Not entirely my fault, I would say. We did crash, and at the time, I was less all-encompassing.
Oh. What were you?
I was an astromech, a very fine astromech provided by my masters on the Jedi Council. Alas, badly damaged in the crash, and the mouse droids can only do so much. I am the ship now, though. It's liberating in some respects. At least I still persist, and now have a new crew to love.
He's also differently alive.
I was thinking the same thing. He's continued.
Before we go any further, vital questions I need to know. Have you hydrated today? Have you taken 5 minutes to yourself? What about greens? Have you eaten your vegetables? I know that is important for organics to be well balanced in their dietary consumptions.
Well, we did take a break earlier today, so we've got that going for us. And we made a friend who I think might be waiting for us outside. I don't know if he wants to come with us.
The more the merrier. I am capacious now. Plenty of space for all of you. Yes.
Should we go talk to our friend outside?
That might be an idea, I think, maybe.
Just promise not to leave me forever, like the other crew did. That would make me very sad.
That is certainly not our intent.
Out of curiosity, how many were in the other crew?
15! And my master. He is counted separately, because he is the most special.
Who?
He was devoured. Very, very sad.
Venla winces and looks to the others like, this could be interesting, because, this could be interesting.
He was eaten by the plant.
Yes.
It's all right, he's still alive.
But he was eaten.
He's differently alive.
He was eaten by the plant, yes, but, like you, has continued. where you took over the ship, he took over the plant. Yeah, that's what happened.
We both persist together?
Yes.
Huh. It would be pleasing to have a reunion with my most special master. He is very kind to droids.
Insight's not a thing in this game, is it?
No, but perception, vigilance maybe. I'd allow either of those kind of picking up on cues skills.
Which would be your preference?
I'm thinking vigilance.
Yeah, I thought you'd be thinking vigilance.
And it's an opposed test. So you are opposed by their deception, which is 1 purple. And 1 setback because of the difficulties of it coming over a vocoder.
I'm significantly less vigilant than I am perceptive, but 2 success and 1 advantage.
They don't appear to be lying, they just have a peculiar cadence.
Okay. In a peculiar ship that's all spooky and full of cobwebs and battle mousebots, so just being aware. I guess we should go get Councilman Traveler Person Preb?
Yeah, that sounds like a decent idea. This is just so far out.
And for you to say that worries me. So I guess we're gonna make our way back through the ship to the door? If the gonk is not permanently attached, or the mouse droids are not permanently attached, Venla will kind of wave them on come on, we're all crew now.
The mouse droids have detached themselves from the gonk droid. They have little magnetized rollers, and they kind of just roll down the side of the gonk droid, and then have been helping you clean and set things up. And yeah, they all kind of... The mouse droids are your vanguard, effectively, because they're the fastest, and the gonk droid is bringing up the rear, making happy gonk noises as it does so. And you make your way to the airlock, which is open. It's getting on towards evening by this point, and there are 2 moons in the sky, and it's beautiful, really. The night is now a darkish, kind of a twilight look. Along the horizon there is the burning orange of a good sunset that again is being reflected through this prismatic wildlife and sending out some beautiful colours. And the pitcher plant that calls itself Jedi Knight Hoculum Preb has set down some roots close to the airlock and is snapping once again at some larger flying insects. These ones are similar to dragonfly, except about 6 or 7 inches long, and they glow from the inside with trapped sunlight.
I mean, you lose me at the 6 or 7 inches, I'll be honest, but...
Hello! Welcome back! Says flapping his mouth in between chomping mouthfuls of dragonfly.
Hello.
How is it in there?
Spooky, but nice.
Yes.
Kiki made new friends.
Kiki is good at that.
And Kiki is currently not really paying attention, but putting one massive hand up into the sky to try and, get a dragonfly to land on it.
I think it does. These things have never encountered anything like you. They have no reason to be afraid of you. Yeah, one of these huge dragonfly type things lands on your hand.
She looks very pleased with herself.
It's quite heavy. It's heavier than you would think it was, given how fast it flies and flits around.
So, I don't know if you noticed, but we did get the ship going, and, we should hopefully be able to leave.
Oh. Well, I'll be sad to see you go, but as long as you bring that holocron to the Jedi Council and let them know everything's fine, just fine, everything's fine, that'd be cracking. I'll just sit here and leave you, eat some more dragonfly things, and continue composing my memoirs. They get longer every day, you see. Although quite repetitive for the last while. Still don't quite know how long I've been here for. Long enough.
We could probably ask the droid inside.
Oh, they know. Very clever for things like that, droids are, They have internal chronometers and that sort of thing.
You don't want to come with us?
I'd quite like to, but I don't know if they'd let me on board. I have to say, it all got a little bit unpleasant when I first walked out of here as meat. And then when I tried to come back as not meat, I think because I probably wasn't real, they took umbrage. Ooh, if you do, and I can, just a thought, I'm pretty sure I can survive on sunlight alone, because I mostly eat these things because of habit, really. Used to be a vegetarian, you know. Ironic, isn't it? Very ironic. But we might need to try and rig me up some form of daylight lamp in there, otherwise I'm going to wither away terribly. I presume. Assuming I can. I'm made of crystal. There's probably a metaphysics thing going on.
Maybe you just slowly go dark.
What a beautiful euphemism for death. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe you should go talk to your friend, the droid.
Do you think they'd want to speak to me?
They said so.
I believe they'd be interested. They, persist. Like you.
Differently.
They're the ship now.
Yes, they're the ship now.
Ooh. Well, they always did say they'd like a bigger body. They used to eye up one of those, you know, like a... Mandalorians had them, great big things. Used to take them into battle. Basilisk war droids, that's the one. Always wanted to be a basilisk war droid. I said no, it sends out the wrong image for a galactic peacekeeping force if one's astromech also happens to be, you know, a heavily armored being of death.
That seems fair.
Like you can ride a basilisk.
You can ride a basilisk. Yes. That was the selling point they tried to convince me, but I said, QL? No, not yet. Maybe later. Though it is later now.
But a ship is bigger than a basilisk war droid.
Yes, and less heavily armored, so that suits my purpose as well as theirs.
And you can ride in them.
Yes, I can ride in them. Everything's coming up, isn't it?
And the pitcher plant uproots itself and slowly waddles on its little feet roots towards the doorway.
Permission to come aboard.
I'm not sure. Are you sure you're still my master? You are differently shaped now, and you ate him.
Yeah, we both persist differently. My philosopher friends here.
And Sphinx kind of jerks one of its leaves towards the three of you.
They've convinced me that's what's going on. Everything's just fine. It's all fine. It's fine.
Oh, well, I suppose, since we are both different, yes. Welcome aboard, my master. It's nice to see you again, and more robust than your previous meat.
Wish you wouldn't say meat. Terrible.
And Preb slowly kind of shuffles on board the ship through the dust.
Before we go very far, I would like to kind of root around at the current world and see if there's anything that looks like it could function as a life-sustaining thing for our friends. Like, do I need a net full of dragonflies that are glowing from the inside? Are the trees still glowing from sunlight? Are there things that I could supply to keep him alive?
I think I'm going to want a survival test for that.
I think I support that choice.
I think it's going to be 3 purple, 1 setback test, because you don't really know what the biology is of crystalline alien pitcher plants.
I don't really know anything, and I admit it.
If anybody else wants to pitch in, they can add a boost dice for their assistance.
I would like to try to add a boost die.
Running around with a big net catching dragonflies, or finding pine cone analogues that glitter like lanterns in the dusk.
I mean, I'll be picking up some, you know, whatever is sparkly. I'll be taking absolute armfuls of that, so.
Also, trying to get like a crate worth of dirt.
Oh yeah, that's a good thought.
There are plenty of crates. Most of the ones on the ship are intact. The stuff that was in them, not necessarily the same. There is one crate that was clearly carrying liquor or some form of consumable beverage, because what it's mostly full of now is a sticky residue and lots of broken glass. But you can clear that out. There are some potables on the ship. They're very, very old, but luckily Frelp and tinned beans never really go off.
Any more than they are normally.
Any more than they are normally, yes.
Yeah. Gross.
Frelp.
Woohoo! My team helped me out more than my 2 of my green dice did. So that would be 1 success and 2 advantage.
Yeah, again, it takes a bit of time. Night has fully fallen by the point that you've managed to get the supplies that you think might keep Preb alive. Preb and the ship are having a lovely conversation inside moving between several various languages and archaic dialects, and just at some cases booping at each other. Clearly there's some in-joke there. But yeah, you managed to capture an awful lot of glittering kind of glowworms and firefly type things, a couple of the larger dragonflies, and just lots of, yeah, they're like pinecone-esque, clearly large seeds of some of these trees that have the sunlight stored and captured in them, and they glow in the night. It's really, again, it's quite beautiful out here at dark as all these seeds start glowing with stored sunlight. It's like being surrounded by lots and lots of small candle-lit paper lanterns, kind of in what would otherwise be quite a dark forest.
I'd imagine that Kiki is a bit like she's under a black light.
Yeah, I think so.
Just picking up all of the colours.
She is luminescent.
You can hear in the distance the rumbling passages of another one of those giant barracuda things. Not coming near you, but just occasionally breaking through the silence. Most of the animals appear to have settled into sleep. Managed to fill a few of the crates with dirt from the ground, from the land, especially as you're digging out parts of the ship to help clear some of the repulsor lift so it can actually push itself up.
Clearing off some of the overgrowth.
Yeah. You know, I think realistically it's probably going to take a couple of days worth of work to clear enough the ship to be able to take off safely, and to do some minor repairs in the ship. And I'm kind of going to have a bit of a montage as we go through this, because these vessels are designed to be knocked around a little bit, and it was clearly a controlled landing. There's no sign of the other crew here. You do come across some very, very, very overgrown graves where some have been buried, clearly the ones that didn't survive the initial impact. The rest of the crew, there's not really any sign. And what you managed to piece together from speaking to Preb and the ship is that they went off in groups to try to find more food and water, because they didn't really want to use all of their supplies if they could help it. Because once you start tapping into those supplies when you're not able to get away, you know, you're as much as admitting that you're dead in the water. You do find out that the only engineer on the ship was the first one to die, which is why it was left in the state it was. And the ship has been here for about 271 galactic standard years.
Well, that explains why Venla, who is, like she says, not keeping up on modern events, completely at sea.
Yeah, that is a mite bit older than what even Whomhurst thought.
And I think as we're kind of getting ready for the ship to leave, do you each want to give me a small montage, a small vignette of something that your character's doing as you're prepping the ship to leave?
Well, Venla would, do what she needs to do around the ship and be helpful, but every chance she got, she would sneak away. Well, not sneak away, she would wander away to just kind of check out everything. Like, she'd bring back bits and bobs of cool things that she found, things that might support Freb and whatnot. Probably one of her bits in the montage would be her up in a very high crystal tree, doing that dramatic thing where you stand on a limb and you're holding onto the upright of the tree, leaning out, looking, watching the barracudas shimmering in the distance longingly.
Kiki is there with a large makeshift shovel, digging out like the repulsors, make sure that the ship can fly away safely without taking too much of the earth with it. But just every so often, she'll just stop and just look around, clearly absolutely in love with the beauty of the place. It's hot and it makes her tired, but she just really seems to appreciate just the glowing colours and the reflections of the light and how it catches her fur as well. And we'll just pick up the pine cones or a leaf, and in the place where she has made her quarters, we'll just put them down like in patterns.
Whomhurst, well, first off, we'll start be doing a lot more of the just general repair type stuff, being the one organic who can get around where the Maelstroids and the Gonk can't, and making a bit of friends with the Astromech now ship. The way that they're relaxing is around the cockpit, taking some of the little glowing things and just gently putting them around, especially in places where they're going to capture sunlight when it gets into space, so that they're going to still give off a nice mellow glow, And once the cockpit's kind of right, like at least looking like it's going to react well to having like the yoke and throttles played around with, they're going to just sort of relax and half meditate, just getting the vibe of the ship.
Yeah, and I think a few days pass, everything's ready to go. And with Whomhurst at the helm, the ship slowly begins to rise off the surface of the planet where it's lain for so long, and rise up through the canopies of the trees and up over the continent. And you can see this glittering, gorgeous blue sea kind of lapping at the edges of the continent. And then further up on the planet is now a mirror ball hanging in space, reflecting the light of the sun, glittering beautifully. And then it recedes, and it recedes. And just before the Ochre Wanderer drops into hyperspace, our camera suddenly snaps to the cargo hold, where 3 little crystalline squirrel creatures pop their head out of the box that they've made a nest in and exchange glances excitedly. We drop into hyperspace. And that is where the story ends.
Oh, good. We've introduced a new galactic pest.
Yay! Just a short one. That was.
Yeah.
Just a snifter, a little bit of something. Thank you very much to my players. And once again, before we leave, do you want to tell our listeners where you're from and where they can find you?
You can find me at Deuterium Ice. I will let you figure out how to spell it. And you can find where I'm usually at for actual plays and podcasting and what have you is the HydianWay.com or at the Hydian Way on Twitter. And that's where the Tales and Heroes archive most certainly is. The actual play where we go through published adventures and try and find out how playable are these things and what kind of epic stories can we tell from them.
And I am also over on the Hydian Way as a player and voice. And then I'm on Twitter at LesletGS. It's pretty straightforward. I'll trust you to spell it.
You can find my voice again over at Dungeon Major with some other lovely players, or you can find me on Twitter at PlotOtter, but that is mostly, let's be honest, wildlife photos and swearing.
Thank you once again to my players. Thank you, as always, to my listeners for joining us on this little trip. It's been a pleasure, and we still have more to come in this season of one-shots. So stick around to find out what's coming up, and you will find out exactly what stories will follow next time. Force Majeure is played using the Star Wars Force and Destiny game system by Fantasy Flight Games and Lucas Books. Our intro music for this season is Unholy Night by Kevin MacLeod, and our outro music remains Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale, both used with gratitude under the Creative Commons license. If you like the show and want to interact with us, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, all of which are at Force Majeure Pod, though Twitter is probably where you're going to find us more regularly. If you enjoy what we do and want to support the show, there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is via our Patreon at patreon.com/forcemajeurepod. The second is by buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/forcemajeurepod. And the third way is by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find us. We really like reviews. It tells us that we're telling the stories that you want to hear and helps other people find us. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.